Hi there, today I'm going to do position review from photographs that someone has sent in to me. So let's get started. Hi there, my name is Laura and welcome to another video. If it's your first time here, thank you so much for being here. And if it's not your first time here, thank you so much for being here. If you'd like to improve your riding and training, win more ribbons at your next horse show, or just like other horsey related stuff, then remember to subscribe, hit the bell icon so you don't miss any new videos coming out. So today I've got some pictures that someone sent in to me, Sydney. Thank you so much, Sydney, for sending in these photographs, and I've been getting a lot of requests to do some position reviews, and if you would like to have your own position review done, then send in some photos. ThistleRidge at hotmail.com and I'll get right to it. Thank you so much, Sydney, for sending in these photographs. She sent in 3 lovely photos. Here they are, and we're going to have to do this on the computer. Here's the first photograph. You can see that looks like she's in a kind of a show situation. Got a show jacket, dressed up nicely. You look really good. Thank you so much. And it's always great to see that people are taking the time, taking the opportunity to go to these training shows so that you can get some experience in the show. Here's another photograph that she sent in, and the third photograph that she sent in. Thank you so much, and you can see that they're really good. They're from the side, so I can see your leg position, and they're all over jumps, so thank you so much. Now, what I did was I got them a little bit, made them a little bit bigger so I could see them. And let's take this first photograph. She's looking up. You can see here in this photograph that Sydney's looking up, looking forward, looking to her next jump. It's really important when you're riding, just like riding a bike or driving a car, that you look up, look forward, look straight ahead. It's not only important for safety so that you can see what's going on and where you're going, but also it helps to keep you in balance, and it helps the horse understand where it is you're going. And if you take the time right now to look and just shift your weight and look to another direction, look left or look right and look left, look one way then the other, and really concentrate, you can feel how that shifts your weight in the seat that you're sitting in the car that you're driving in the bicycle that you're riding on, and the horse can feel that shift of weight of your head. And that's another reason why it's so important that you look up and look where you're going, because that telegraphs to the horse where you're going. Looking out, looking forward is really important. Great job looking forward. Also, when you're riding, looking out, looking forward also helps to keep the rest of your body in balance. This means that if you look down, it pulls your head down and forward, it pulls your shoulders forward into a rounded position and puts more weight onto the horse's shoulders. You want to make sure your head is up, looking forward, to keep your balance in the saddle properly. Great job keeping your eyes up. Would also like to draw your attention to Sydney's hands on the reins and on her horse's neck. Really lovely position. Love the way that you have your hands securely on the horse's neck so that you're not getting left behind. And also love seeing the loop in your rein. And this shows that, you know what, you have got a really lovely release. You're not interfering with the horse, and that's something that's very important. If you interfere with the horse, that's going to make the horse jump not in a very good fashion. It's going to be hollow through his back and start hanging his legs. And if you continue to interfere with your horse over top of the jumps by pulling on back on the reins and not allowing him to stretch his head and neck, he's going to start to stop not going over jumps. He's going to start refusing. Great job with the release. Love that you can see the reins are looped and that he looks really happy going forward over his jumps. We also can see here that Sydney has her heels down. Great job putting your heels down, Sydney. You have your heels down, but unfortunately it looks like you're pinching with your knee and your entire lower leg has slipped back. Your heels are down, but it looks like your whole leg is slipped back. So this is one of the major things that we see with your position, is your leg is slipped back and you're pinching with your knee, tipping forward with your upper body. You're going to have to keep your upper body more over the center of the saddle rather than having the seat of your pants over the pommel of the saddle. Think of keeping the seat of your pants over the seat of the saddle. Seat of your pants over the seat of the saddle. Say that 10 times real fast. So here I just put an arrow where it looked to me that where your weight was. It looks like your weight is over top of the front of the saddle, over top of the horse's withers, rather than down around the horse's body and down into your heels. Having a secure lower leg with the weight coming down into your heels is going to keep you under that saddle. If you pinch with your knees, what's going to happen is what you see here is that your seat is going to come more over the pommel of the saddle and your leg is going to slip back. Pinching with your knee is going to make your lower leg swing back because you're tipping forward. And when your upper body goes forward, your leg is going to swing backwards. And that's what I have this here. You can see your leg is swung back, your upper body is going forward, putting more weight onto the horse's withers, and your lower leg slipping back. This puts you in an unbalanced position and makes the horse work a little bit harder because he's got to lift your weight as well as his own weight through his shoulders. If you're over top of the center of gravity of the horse, which is just around where your knee is, keeping your seat closer to the saddle, closer to the seat of the saddle, and closing your hip angle like you're crouching in the saddle, that will help get your body in line with the energy of the horse so that you can stay with the horse better. If you look at the other photographs that she sent, she's pretty much in the same position. Great photos, by the way, because they're all at the same time in the sequence of your horse's jump. So we can analyze each picture the same way because it's at the same time of the phase of the jump. So most people would say, well, her heels aren't down, let's just put her stirrups up. Well, that's one thing you can do, but the big thing you have to do is close your hip angle and get her seat closer to the saddle. And think of pushing your bum more towards the back of the saddle so that your seat is more over the middle of the saddle. I'd like to have your seat closer to the middle of the saddle so your seat is over top of the seat of the saddle rather than over top of the pommel of the saddle. So the red line is the shoulder, hip, knee, ankle. So shoulder, hip, knee is one angle, hip, knee, ankle is another angle. And then I took those lines, so I took the length of the line from the shoulder to the hip and I just moved it back, and the angle from the line from the hip to the knee, and I moved that back. And so I thought, well, this is where your seat should be. So if you can imagine moving your shoulders back and your hip more towards the back of the saddle, how that will close that hip angle so you'll be in balance with the horse and not standing over top of the pommel of the saddle. Then I took the rider and cropped her off of her horse, and then I just put her horse and made it look like it's doing a bigger jump, and you can see that if I put her horse at a higher jump, it looks like she's in better balance because it puts her in better balance when she's over top of the horse. So for you to be in balance with your horse over top of this jump, you have to make your seat closer to the back of the saddle, over top of the seat of the saddle, rather than over the pommel of the saddle. And I got some exercises for you to do. So then what I did was I took Sydney and I just kind of repositioned so that she is more in balance with her horse. So again, I took her off that horse. I didn't change her position at all. I just took her off that horse and then was able to rotate her a little bit so that she was more in balance with the horse. And you can see here I've just brought her shoulders up a little bit more and moved her more towards the back of the saddle. And if you look closely, you can see there's where her leg was, but I just kind of tipped her back. And to me, this looks more like she's better in balance with her horse. Her seat is more over the middle of the saddle rather than launching herself off her toes and onto her knees. So what do you think about that? To me, that looks better. You know, subtle difference, but you can see the difference, how much this one looks like she's perching on her knees and on her toes and onto the horse's neck. If you'd like to get some more position corrections, take a look at these videos right here. Lots of videos there that you can watch. So how are we going to fix this? Really good exercises that you can do to help keep yourself balanced over top of your horse. And this is one of my favorite exercises, is 2-point position. And it's called 2-point position, by the way. Some people don't know this, is because your left leg is in contact with the horse and your right leg is in contact with the horse. Your regular riding position is called 3-point position because there's 3 points of contact: left leg, right leg, and your seat. So practice your 2-point position at the walk, at the trot, and even at the halt. And when you do your 2-point, you don't need to rise out of the saddle so that you're standing up out of the stirrup. Yeah, we don't want to interfere with the horse. Yeah, that's true. We don't want to interfere with the horse. But what we do want to do is stay in balance with the horse. And we only need to rise up out of the saddle just enough so the crotch of our pants are just clearing the saddle. Just so the crotch of your pants are brushing on the saddle. So the weight is down into your stirrups and your seat is just hovering over top of the saddle. You don't need to stand up with your seat over top of the palm of the saddle because that just opens up your hip angle too much. You want to think of it as the rising part of the rising trot where you're just hovering over top of the saddle and the weight is pushed down into your legs. Practice this exercise, and I call this the up, up, down exercise. Stand in your stirrups for 2 beats, down in the saddle for 1. Up, up, down, down, up, down. And that is one of my favorite exercises to do so that you can stay in balance with your horse. When you go on your 2-point, take a look. Do you have a straight line, shoulder, knee, toe? When you go on your 2-point, do you have a straight line, shoulder, knee, toe? That was one way, one check mark that you can do to make sure that you are in balance with your horse. Prevent your lower leg from slipping back. To do this, when you go on your 2-point, think of pushing your heel down and forward. Relax your knee and let the weight come around into your calf and into your stirrup, not pinching with your knee. When you pinch with your knee and you tip forward, your leg is just automatically going to swing back. Before you even get started, let's make sure that your saddle's fitting you and fitting your horse. Sometimes saddles are and fit incorrectly and it forces you into that chair seat, so you have to pinch with your knee. So make sure your saddle's fitting properly as well. When you go in your 2-point, make sure you're bending at your hips, that you're bringing your shoulders closer to your knees and you're sticking your bum out towards the back of the saddle. If you just lean forward to stay with your horse, you put the weight onto your knee and onto your stirrup and onto your toes. We want the weight to be kept into the center of the saddle. Keep your weight center in the saddle and let the weight come down through your leg, even grip throughout your entire leg and land into the heels. Make sure that your stirrup is the correct length. How do you tell if your stirrup is the correct length? When you take your foot out of the stirrup, the top of the stirrup tread should hit the bottom of your ankle bone. Now when you're jumping, top of the stirrup tread should hit the top of your ankle bone. This is particularly important that you adjust your stirrup for your own body type. Depending on your body type, you may have to adjust it a little bit one way or the other. Here's a professional tip that I recommend that you do on a regular basis. Switch your stirrup leathers from left side to right side. You know, we mount from the left-hand side of the horse, right? So that means every time you get on, you're putting extra weight onto that stirrup. Even if you're mounting from a mounting block, that stirrup leather is going to stretch a little bit more than the other one. So, at the beginning of every month, swap over your stirrup leathers so that they stretch evenly. This avoids those uneven stirrup leather holes and punching holes in between already made hole. One of the hardest exercises you can do is the 2-point at the walk. Lift your seat off of the horse's back by pushing the weight down into your feet without pushing your heels down and forward or down and back. Keep your legs still and just raise up your seat out of the saddle so the crotch of your pants is just brushing the saddle a little bit. Another really good exercise is a 2-point position at the trot and trot over poles. It's another one of my favorite exercises to keep your leg still and balanced and secure around the horse. My name is Laura. And if you'd like to improve your riding and training, win more ribbons at your next horse show, or generally like other horsey related stuff, then remember to subscribe, hit the bell icon so you don't miss anything. My name is Laura, and if you'd like to win more ribbons at your next horse show, improve your riding and training, then stick around and watch more videos because there's lots of videos here so that you can improve your riding.